Hello everyone, Dan Palumbo again. Today we're going to be talking about the RNAV GPS. We're going to be doing the RNAV GPS to runway 36 center at Memphis. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Here's our approach plate, RNAV GPS runway 36 center. We have a WASP frequency over here. We don't need this because this is not going to be an LPV approach. This is only going to be an LNAV approach. It's going to be the RNAV GPS. It's going to be the LNAV approach. We will use VNAV, but we're going down to LNAV minimums. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Final approach course, we don't need to set anything here. It's 360. We're going to be crossing 2000 at Ginny, and it says LPV 665 is the minimum. Well, we're not doing the LPV. We're only going to be doing the LNAV, and the LNAV minimum is 760. So the first thing we need to do is set up the approach. So we want to go nav, arrival. We want to choose runway 36. We want to choose RNAV to runway 36. The transition is HLI, which is where we're going now. And then we can hit arrival. But the FMS is going to default to an LPV approach. We don't want that. So you need to line select to right here where it says RNAV minimum. And you need to switch that from LPV to LNAV VNAV, which we will do here. So now we have Memphis, runway 36 center, RNAV to 36 center via HLI, Holly Springs for the transition, and we have LNAV VNAV. We will activate that. We're going direct to HLI. We have LNAV engaged. It's going to smart turn here in just a couple of moments. So what do we have? RNAV GPS runway 36. The WASP frequency we don't need. And what that basically means is that if you're going to be doing an LPV, you have to make sure the channel is in there, 40407. And the W36B just means it's a WASP approach to runway 36, and it's the second approach, which is B. So what are our minimums? We've got a minimum of 760. So we set 760, we went to the flight ref page, opened up MDA, set 760 and boxed it, and we have 760 showing right here in white. Now, three things you need before you can do this approach. We'll call it CAE. You need to be cleared. You need to have the altitude holding at 3,000. You don't have to, but I like to have the altitude at 3,000, holding 3,000. That's the initial altitude here. And then you need to be established. So we're going to assume that we're cleared. The airplane is now doing a smart turn. I'll bring the range in just a little bit. Doing a smart turn from HLI to item. Are we established now? No, we are not. We need to be on an established part of the route for the approach. Right now, we are not established, so we have not met the three items we need to meet. We're cleared, our altitude is 3,000, but we are not established yet. Once we roll out and going direct to item, from HLI to item, which the airplane is attempting to do now, then we will be established. After that, there's two things you have to do in this order. Set either the field elevation if you're doing an LNAV VNAV, or in this case, we're going to set the MDA, which is 760, and then press VNAV. So two things in order. Set the minimum, press VNAV. I've seen people quite often press VNAV without setting the minimum, and they flew 3,000 feet all the way through the runway. All right, so let's get the wings level here. Wings are level. We're now on the route from HLI to item. So we met our three items. We're cleared. We're at 3,000 feet. 3,000 feet, correct. Altitude holding. And it's showing ALT right here, which is really what you want to look at. This is our wish list, and this is our reality. And we are established. So what we'll do in order is we'll set the MDA of 760. Now, if you were doing an LNAV VNAV, you'd set field elevation here, but we're not. We're doing an LNAV only, so we're setting the MDA of 760. So we set the minimum, we pressed VNAV. When we press VNAV, what do we got? We got VALT, so we're holding altitude with VNAV engaged. And you see a 3,000 in blue. 3,000 in blue is exactly where we need to be because item is 3,000 feet, Nesbitt is 3,000 feet. The FMS says Ginny's at 2,000, and then our minimum of 760. Remember, this is an RNAV approach, a GPS approach, so what else do we have to do? Yes, check RAIM. Let's do that. NAV, we can do it over here. NAV, position sensors. Next page, find GPS 1. Select status on 3 right. It says predict RAIM. That's 4 right, and the answer is yes, we have it. We'll go back to our flight plan now. So where are we? We're coming up on item 3,000 feet. VNAV is engaged. We're going to start slowing down a little bit. Bring it to about 220, and then I'll put some flaps in. And I want to be fully configured way before the final approach fix. Now, unless ATC tells you to keep up the speed, I like to start slowing it down right around this point. So speed checks, flap select at 10, and then we'll go to auto speeds. Auto speeds will show 180. And there we are. So flap select at 10, auto speed showing 180. We're at item, and our top of descent is right here. So we're going to go through item. We're going to go to, over Nesbit, and then right after Nesbit, we're going to start down. And when we get close to top of descent, we're going to see our vertical glide path show up. And we'll get a 1 minute warning, which I'll show you. Now we'll speed this up a little bit, save some time. All right, I'm going to bring the scale in a little bit. Let's go to 10 miles. There's a 5-mile ring at 10 miles out here. We're going to see track change in a couple of moments. And I just want to reiterate, it's very important. When you're doing an RNAV GPS approach, you have to set the minimum first, then press VNAV. Like I said, I've seen people press VNAV and stay at 3,000 feet all the way to the runway. You don't put an altitude in there, it's got nowhere to go. This is your wish list, that's your reality. I'm wishing for 760. I have VNAV and it's going to do what I want it to do. If I had 3,000 set in there, it's not going to go anywhere. All right, so there's our track change. That's going to be our 30-second warning. And what do we got going on here? VNAV track change. This is the 1 minute warning to tell us that the vertical glide path is going to come in. And you can see it show up right here on the PFD. The airplane will fly this just perfect. And if it doesn't, what are we? We're pilots. We take over and do what needs to be done. We are managers of the automation. And when the automation doesn't do what we want to do, well, we need to be pilots. All right, so we're turning on to final approach. You'll see the vertical glide path start to move in just a few moments. There's top of descent. I'm going to do 20 degrees of flaps. Flaps selected 20. Auto speeds will show 160. Vertical glide path is coming in, captured on our way down, and now our next altitude is 2,000 feet, and it says 2,000 here in blue. We're on the vertical glide path on our way down to 760. And of course, standard call-outs. What are the standard call-outs? 1,000 above minimums, 500 above minimums, 200 above minimums, 100 above minimums, and then either you see the runway and you call landing or you do a missed approach. All right, something else that's going to happen. We're about 4.5 miles away from Ginny. That's the final approach fix. When we get to be 2 nautical miles from the final approach fix, we are going to see, and better see, 2 lights up here. It's going to say FMS1 approach, FMS2 approach. You want to make sure that you have those 2 lights. There's actually 4. There's 2 here, 1 on each FMS for a total of 4. So you're going to have 2 here, 1 here, and 1 here for a total of 4 lights. If you don't see those 2 lights, it's a missed approach, and you come back and do a different type of approach. So we got 2.5 miles, 2.4, 2.3. Let's see if it's on target. 2.2, 2.1, 2. Show up. Ah, there we are. FMS 1 and 2 approach. We have that in the CAS, and of course you can see right here in this FMS and that FMS. So now we're going to cross Ginny at 2,000, are we? 2,000 it says here, 2,000 it says here, 2,000 it says here, and most importantly 2,000 it says here. We're 2,200 feet, continuing down. And it looks like we're going to make Ginny at 2,000 feet. Works great. Now, once we get to 2,000 feet, this 2,000 is going to go away. And the only thing that's going to be left is going to be our minimum of 760 because there are no other step-down altitudes. MDA is the next thing and the last thing. There we are. Continuing down, this goes away, which means we're on our way down to 760. We're in VNAV. It's working great. So, fully configured before the final approach fix, gear down before landing checklist coming up. I'm a little late on that, just bear with me. Red light means we're in transit. Got the 3 green lights, nutcracker. Yes, 2 lights. 2 lights before we arm the ground spoilers, which we did. Full flap down, warning inhibit is on. Feet off the floor, and you follow the proper checklist. Runway's right in front of us.
1,000.
All right, that's above the ground, but we're 500 above minimums. The next call out is going to be 200 above minimums, and if the minimums are 760 plus 200 is 960. We'll call that out. Here we are, 200 above minimums, continuing.
500.
100 above minimums. Runway's in front of us. And now we're coming up on minimums, and we can do one of two things. We can either land or do a missed approach. Let's see what a missed approach is all about.
400.
There's minimums. So what are we going to do? It's going to be toga, flaps 20. Bring it right up. Positive rate gear up. Altitude should come up. We want to go back to LNAV. We're already in FMS, so we don't have to worry about that. Telling us to make that turn. And then flaps up, manual 200 and flight level change. And I'll fine tune the altitude here. And that's it.